Hi, welcome to another Behind the Line with me, Chef Danny Davies. Cuisine, collab and cocktails. We'll be talking to some of the hottest yacht chefs around. Chef Manny, nice to meet you.
Super.
How you doing? So tell me a little bit about how you got into yachting, how you became a chef.
Yeah, I got referred by a friend into yachting, and he said that I should probably try to get any ocean experience to see if I was going to like it. So I got a job on a cruise ship in Alaska. Yeah, in Alaska, small cruise ship, and it really taught me a lot how to like be a good roommate, how to be a good just shipmate in general. It taught me about timing, how to live with other people. I think that's the caveat. Yachting, but that's what got me started.
So you started on a cruise ship,
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Then I made enough money for all the STCW and all that because it's expensive. Then after I got my STCW done, I looked for a job for 4 months, and it was rough.
4 months.
Really rough.
So what do you use? You use like an agent? Or?
I tried going to Blue Water every day, and they tried promoting me, but since I was green, nobody wanted to.
Blue Water here on 17th Street.
Blue Ocean now, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then,
so you signed up for a bunch of agencies or just one?
As many as I could, and I went in person so they could meet me. But I wasn't used to dressing up fancy, so I looked pretty awkward. It was pretty good. Yeah, so I went to buy fancy clothes, but I didn't know about fashion or anything. I'm an old rocker, like I don't wear stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
how about your resume? Did you do one of these fancy yacht resumes you can see?
No, I was pretty used to making my own CV, so I just I had a friend does Photoshop. He's a graphic designer. He did it all up for me. I just gave him like a couple $100, and just so I could alter it as I went along. That's actually worked out pretty well for me. Yeah.
And do you use a social media tool? Like
Yeah. So I have my Facebook is Chef _Emmanual with 2 M's _ Vasquez.
Good job, man.
Yeah. Instagram has actually been a great tool because you can really see somebody's profile, my pictures, and just kind of like just a history of like the kind of food that I've done, what I'm doing, kind of like what the aspirations are, what I expect, my standards are.
So if you give someone a chef trying to get into yachting some advice about what mistakes you made or how to do things better, like what would you say to them?
KISS. K-I-S. Keep it simple, stupid. So a lot of the techniques that we do at restaurants don't really work on yachts. So you have to really understand, if you're going to make a really, really nice steak, just keep it simple. If you're going to make a nice fish, just keep it simple because it's not the quality of food that you're expecting that you get at the Bahamas. It's not super fine dining like you would expect in a really, really fine dining restaurant. It can be here and there, but it's few and far between. So just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Try to get as many raw ingredients as you can instead of trying to buy pre-made stuff and pre-mixes and pre-mixed marinades and stuff like that. So you could do multiple things with the few ingredients you do have.
Yeah,
but keep it simple. Prep as much as you can that day, every day. Prep for that day. Just leave up space.
So how did you build your profile?
So I think that I didn't have too many pictures before, so I practiced a lot.
These are food pictures, right?
Food pictures, yeah, I didn't have that many food pictures from before because I came from a time where just cell phones weren't really that common, and I was pretty poor before I got into yachting. So I created a lot of dishes at home, practiced, got my game back up, started taking pictures of that. Took as many pictures as I could. Really started to kind of think about what got me into cooking in the first place, and just selling who I really am, not just like what I want others to think of me. Because you can't really fake it until you make it in this industry that much, you know.
It's a small industry.
But you gotta know who you are and what you're good at, and you gotta try to embellish that as much as you can. You know, I know I got tattoos, I know I'm an old rocker, I know all that. But the thing is I sell that now, and that's people know what they're getting.
Manny, the Rockstar chef.
Yeah.
What tips would you give to a new chef? Like, how would they go about getting a job? Is it like stuff that you find on Facebook and the Facebook groups, or agencies, or like, what would you say, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give a greenie?
So literally take whatever first job you can, even if it pays terribly.
Just get
experience. You need to get any experience. And for me, the best thing that I did was work on a cruise ship first, because you get into the rhythm of being at sea, learning how to be around other people, learning how to navigate a galley. I feel that it's helped me a lot. That helped me out a lot. if I was a greenie again, if I was starting out again, I think that I would just every day go to Daywork 123. That was a big one for me. That's like probably one of the oldest.
Daywork 123.
Yeah, it's probably one of the oldest sites that there is. Daywork 123. It's on Facebook now.
Did you ever do any dog walking?
I did, but that was a terrible idea because nobody. They're like, "This is a weirdo." Yeah, my business card and CVs. But for chefs, it's not the same as for deckhands.
Yeah.
But
that wasn't successful.
No. I was like, hey, you need your galley detail. They're like, no, weirdo. Who are you?
So you used agencies?
Yeah, I think now I work with Corley Quirk a lot from Superyacht. She's great. She's really, really great. I worked with Blue Water before, but the jobs I got from there weren't really what I was looking for as much. Even though they were really trying to sell me. I think Corley Quirk I'm pretty exclusive with her. She's pretty great with Superyacht.
If you're on a boat and things going a bit south, or you're thinking, I want to get out of this situation, what do you do? Like, what advice could you give to someone who's in that position?
If you're on a boat and you don't want to be there anymore,
yeah.
I mean, it always ends like never quit halfway into a charter. Yeah. Never, because like no matter what, you signed up for that. See it through, you know. Because like the thing is when you're done, you could be like, all right. I always say win or learn, never lose. So you learn from them. You say, all right, I see some telltale signs from like this chief steward, from that captain. Like learn from them, you know. And really, when you start out, I have a questionnaire for the captain when I start out on a boat. When I'm interviewing. When I do the first interview, I'm like, you know, and it's me interviewing them as much as they're interviewing me.
Yeah.
Because I got to live with them, and I'm not saying I'm the best in the world, but I'm also not the worst, you know. And like the thing is, I want to know about that captain. I want to know how long he's been captaining. I want to know where we're going, what my galley's like, what the chief stew's like. I've worked with chief stews that's their first job, and they're just terrible. They don't know what to do. They don't know how good they have it by having a good, competent chef, and they just don't realize that they're messing up all the time. So
you're advising someone's on a charter and they're like, I want to get out, finish the charter.
Oh yeah,
and then just leave.
Well, not just leave, but talk to the captain. But also realize that the captain is insanely under a huge amount of stress. Everybody's under tons of stress when you're on charter. Finish the charter. When you drop off, then you can address it. That's really the best thing you can do, because if you add more stress on top of it, it's just going to make this precedent for people to be grumpy, angry, or treat you weirdly. And then, yeah, the chief stew, that relationship makes or breaks the entire thing. Because the three people that make a charter is the captain, the chef, and the chief stew.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to say anything against that.
What do you think is the most important thing for a chef coming into the industry new? What do you think is the most important thing that you can, a bit of advice that you can give them for getting that first job?
Try to make as much prep as you can as early as you can.
You know what I mean? Like getting that first job.
Oh, getting the first job.
Getting your foot in the door.
Social media. Don't go out and get drunk with yachties. Don't do that, because that's what people think. Like, hey, maybe he'll get. No one cares.
Take a picture.
No one cares. Nobody cares. They don't care who you are, where you work at. What you need to do is you need to make a clean profile.
Nice clean profile.
Clean profile. You need to take good food pictures. You need to show that you're not, a dumb drunk, or show yourself in a positive light. Show yourself clean, nice. Don't go and hang out with yachties at yacht bars. That's just dumb. Nobody cares. You will never meet anybody like that. I tried doing that. I'll buy you guys drinks, and it's dumb. They don't care who you are. Yeah, they don't care.
They're just gonna take your drinks.
They're just gonna take your drinks and walk away. Who's this dork? Yeah. But don't do that. The best thing you can do is have a good Facebook, have a good Instagram. If you have yourself taking shots, doing keg stands on Facebook, you're an idiot. Because everybody sees your social media presence. Make sure that there's nothing incriminating on your Facebook. Make sure it's not you with your shirt off. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Well, no, because these people, they're seeing that. They're trying to find out who you are. They'll type your name into Facebook or Instagram, and they'll see who you are. And if what you're selling is somebody that's positive, somebody that's not going to be, getting drunk every night, or doing drugs or stuff like that. You want to be in a positive, good light. That's what you want to show. You want to be on social media as much as you can. I built a website for myself, and I feel that's it's the next step outside of social media.
Yeah, I know a lot of chefs that have websites, right?
Yeah.
You think that's a good thing?
I think it's a great thing, because you could. I connected my Instagram and my Facebook to my website as well, so you can see kind of who I am from beginning to end, and my whole life, my life story, cooking, and just kind of my personality. And it's weird because you have to sell yourself. And I've never had to do that before. Usually it's just I'm a good cook, I'm a good chef, so I get hired here, there, and the other place. But like now, you have to sell your personality because you have to be able to speak to the guests eloquently, and with finesse, and you got to be able to make these beautiful dishes and let people know how to sell those dishes because you can't go up for every meal.
Yeah, and also to live with people, right?
Live with people. That's
the
the
share a
catch.
room with an asshole.
No, and you can't smell, and you can't do anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, or snore. I've had roommates that are snorers. Great people, but they'll snore. And you think it's not that big of a deal, but it's a big deal.
So, like, during your freelancing and stuff like that, you're coming onto a boat. What kind of things are you happy to see? Like, what kind of brands do you like?
Yeah, I mean, if I see a KitchenAid stand mixer, but
I love the KitchenAid.
because it's got so many like little kind of attachments.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the pasta machine attachment, you got your hook, you have your whisk, you have paddle. You can do so much with the KitchenAid, and all of the little attachments you can buy for it, they're great.
Which favorite oven?
Favorite oven? I actually have a Samsung oven right now.
Samsung.
Yeah, I didn't know they made ovens.
No, I didn't.
But it's pretty great. It's like
They actually make fridges. I love the Samsung.
well, they made our stovetop and the oven. And when I saw that, because all my stuff is Samsung, my phone, my computer, my watch, and it just happened that way because it's seamless all through. But Samsung ovens, great.
So that's it. Induction.
Yeah.
What kind of pans do you like for induction? Is there a brand that you kind of like lean towards?
Can I be totally honest? I don't really care. Like I just get one big pan. It's usually what I use, and 2 egg pans. As long as you have one good heavy bottom pan and 2 egg pans, I really don't care. Yeah, I really don't care. And then I only use those 2 for eggs, and I only use that one for searing, and that's it. Yeah. Then
I have stick blenders, immersion blenders, things like that.
Yeah, I got my cordless KitchenAid. Cordless KitchenAid. Oh, I love that thing. Yeah, and you get 20 full minutes out of each charge. But I mean, you think about it. Like, how often do you use? For how long do you use like an immersion blender? It's like a minute at a time. So literally, it'll last you a week and a half. A full charger. Yeah, and you have a full charge on it. And I also have a whisking attachment for that as well. If I want to make like a quick meringue or if I want to do something like that. I like the Breville smoke gun too.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah, I really like that.
They're pretty good, right?
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. I'll do like a crudo salmon and then smoke it, leave it in the bag, leave it overnight, and then smoke salmon in the morning.
Bang. Culinary convenience, amazing. I got for my birthday last year, I bought this amazing Kikuichi Santoku. Probably one of the best knives I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But their knife selection is ridiculous. The sharpening is great there. They have like literally everything you need ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy Aaron, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, right?
He
They
really
deliver
is.
as well, right?
Yeah. So
talking about deliveries, what sometimes our bigger boats use provisioners.
yeah.
So is there any provisioners you want to tell me about?
Dion Money.
Dion's out in
Nassau.
In Nassau. And
Yeah.
Bahamas, right?
So I had a 24-hour charter turnaround this last charter between my two trips, and it was Boxing Day.
So you had to use a provision.
Yeah. So and I only had 24 hours. So he got impossible quality on Boxing Day. And if there's a holiday in Bahamas, you can't get anything, nothing. And what you can get, awful. You need to go for Dion Money. Yeah, because he can get anything, and like he's from there, and he'll charge what he charges, but it's like reasonable, And like you look really good to your captain because you're like, hey, I got everything for my menus, and it's not that bad. Some provisioners don't really charge you.
So if you joined a boat here before Lauderdale and you're going to provision here, you use 17th Street, or do you use a provisioner?
So I like to go pick out my things myself because then I know the quality. Like the last few months, I don't know what's been happening, but the quality of so much produce and meat and everything has gone down.
Yeah, really, since COVID, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
is there any stores around here?
Yes. Oh my God, Wild Fork Foods.
Wild Fork
Foods. I love Wild Fork Foods because everything you get has to be frozen anyways.
So it's fresh frozen.
Yeah. Well, no, I know. Somebody was telling you there that somebody told you that it's fresher because it's frozen. It's confusing. No, that's not.
So Wild Fork, you use those?
Yeah, well, because the thing is, everything there's frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's frozen.
Who do you get your fish from?
Usually Wild Fork as well.
Wild Fork.
Or Whole Foods when I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
Whole Foods.
Yeah, because their selection is pretty good, and it's usually the same kind of repertoire. I get like grouper or Chilean sea bass. Yeah, Wild Fork actually has everything. They have branzino, they have ahi tuna, yellowfin tuna. They have everything at Wild Fork.
How about like your specialty dessert stuff? You ever heard of International Market?
Yeah, I've actually been there a couple of times. I really like their chocolate molds and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do some really good stuff.
Yeah, I like they have like a lot of like dessert pearls and the caviar. I actually got that from you using the balsamic pearls and like stuff like that.
The future of cooking on boats is, technology. We're using it a lot now. I mean, my phone links up to my sous vide machine. What do you think the future is with technology and how we use it on boats?
I think it's great now. So I have this watch. I have my phone that's waterproof and dustproof and greaseproof, and my computer, and I could seamlessly go through all of them. I use Paprika a lot.
Oh yeah. So that's like Paprika's like what does it do?
It's like a database for like recipes.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of my French friends' recipes, and I have a couple of my German friends' recipes there. And we just kind of use it as a big database for everybody. But I can see it on my watch, on my phone, and on my computer. So usually I'll sit down with my computer, I'll punch in any information just because it feels more natural to go on my computer and do like work like that. But then when I'm actually pumping and going, I'll use my phone. So I can just kind of scroll through whatever.
So you take your laptop into the galley, or not?
Not as much. That's what my phone is for now.
Yeah.
But so I feel like the technology that I use is pretty much that pretty often. I have a wireless blender. That actually helps me a lot. Yeah, it's KitchenAid. Yeah, it's pretty great. And then I just kind of leave that just in a measuring cup. Yeah, that's pretty great. And then, my sous vide machine. I don't really play with the whole setting on sous vide. I just set it at one temperature and just kind of leave it that way.
How about like communication? We kind of met through Facebook and Instagram. Is that something you use a lot?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been kind of on social media lately. I've kind of gotten a bit of a team together, people that, you mentor me a lot with a lot of my Instagram stuff. And then I have friends that have helped me learn how to do web development and social media kind of things. I've been developing kind of my brand. I want to eventually just be a personal chef and start a kind of small catering company in between charters. And I feel like that's what I'm going to branch out to eventually.
Yeah.
So I'm setting up
a brand future for Chef Manny, the Rockstar chef.
I think so. I think possibly, but just so I could be, I don't know, maybe get girlfriend or wife. I don't know. Settle down somewhere. Maybe get a little house and like a dog or something. I don't know. Maybe a couple little kids. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know.
How long do you think you're gonna do this yacht for? Have you got an exit plan? Something you're working towards?
I actually started buying property in Mexico with my family. I wanna. To be honest, I just started doing this for my folks. They were not doing very well, and I started just fixing up their house. And I started getting into more and more money, and I realized every dollar that I don't make is a dollar they don't get.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm never greedy. I'm always fair with everybody, but I always try to kind of get as much juice out the lemon as I can.
What's your biggest achievement or your best achievement in yachting so far?
I cooked for the president of Bermuda.
Oh.
Yeah, with Prime Minister when I was there, and they asked me for a 7-course meal, and that was the first time that I had no budget for anything, and that's where I got some of my coolest pictures on my social media. I did like a soft boiled duck egg with beluga caviar. I did a take on an old Jamaican cod and potato dish. I did a few just banger dishes that I've never been able to actually make myself with my name and my stamp. And I think that was probably one of the coolest things that I've ever been able to do. And the owner, not the owner, the Prime Minister, he was super impressed. And I knew before he said anything, I knew that it was spot on. Like it just felt like I got this.
Yeah, it's a little feeling. So you said before that you have menus that you work on. How do you do a new dish? How do you bring that into your repertoire?
Yeah.
Do you just find something, or where do you get your kind of inspiration from, and then how do you bring that into the galley?
So usually I'll think of a dish that I want to do. Like I'll think of a Middle Eastern dish, and I'll think of what's available and what's the freshest quality products available in that area at that time. So if I say I'm going to do a shakshuka, I'm going to do an Israeli shakshuka, and I think, okay, what am I going to do to get this up? I'm going to use San Marzano tomatoes because tomato and eggs, it's the two base things on this dish. So I'm going to do San Marzano tomatoes. I'll do regular eggs and quail eggs to just do a play on textures, sizes, and something like that. And then I'll get whatever the highest quality spices are for that area and that dish. Yeah.
And you try out on crew? Or you just go straight into it?
I usually just go straight into it. Yeah. I usually go straight into it. Yeah. Because I know what works together and what doesn't.
What's the biggest mistake you've made on the boat?
Biggest mistake? was let's see, biggest mistake. Trying too much technique.
Yeah.
Trying too much technique for every dish. Not letting the ingredients shine by themselves. Trying to doctor them up.
Technical, yeah.
Yeah. So like, trying to cook a la minute as well. That doesn't work on boats. There's some things you can do, but if you prepare, like as the guest sits down, if you prepare everything right then, you shoot yourself in the foot. You have to have dishes that stand alone and can be kind of manipulated within half an hour before or after. Like if you have like seared salmon, I learned you sear the skin side and then you leave it completely raw on the other side. And then when you're about to plate, you get an oven at 420 and you blast it, and then you get a blowtorch and you cook the skin again to just crisp it up. So like things like that, like I learned. Before I would sear to order, and it was just didn't work. So that's why the blowtorch comes back into play. So you sear the skin on a fish, and right before you plate it, it comes out of the oven, it gets all wet and soggy. You got the blowtorch and crisp it back up.
What's the kind of craziest request you've had from like crew? What are the crew kind of demands that you have that you're like, this is ridiculous?
I had a crew that didn't like my food and refused. They didn't tell me. I don't know why. And then I came back to port, and then the captain was like, "You haven't been hitting the mark on food." I was like, "No one's told me anything." And I came down one day, and they were all making grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" But I think it was more we just didn't get along. I don't know why. There was just a lot of drama on that boat, and they made it really personal, which happens on boats sometimes.
Yeah, it happens, right? I don't know, most extravagant or most interesting thing that I guess is a question.
There was that same charter in Bermuda. They wanted lobster for every meal.
Lobster for
every meal, yeah, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I thought that was pretty cool. If you're gonna be rich, you might as well be rich.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but they wanted caviar and all that stuff. This last charter, 2 charters ago, they wanted truffle, foie gras, and Kobe beef, and that was pretty cool. But I just use often if I have people that are really like fancy and fine dining eaters, like normals, like regulars for fine dining, then I'll use caviar as fish sauce. So I'll put it in stuff. So if I'm making a Caesar salad, I'll put caviar in it instead of putting the anchovies or Worcestershire. Or making Thai food, I'll add caviar to it.
What do you think of the latest kind of food trends that are happening right now with like plant-based diet, eating? What do you think of the new kind of food trends that are happening now with like plant-based eating? Are you seeing that more in the charters or with the crew?
With crew, a bit more. I've seen like some crew that want like if you get a burger, it's like half meat, half plant-based, and I think it's a good thing. But to be honest, there's nothing like a cool burger, like a nice steak. But they make some pretty nice alternatives out there. But there's just, I feel like all of these food trends with all this fake meat and stuff like that, and Beyond Beef, it's never going to be as good as it is naturally, and it just tastes like a watered down doctored version of what you're trying to imitate.
Yeah, just pretending, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to eat plant based, I would just eat food that's normally not. It doesn't contain any animal products.
Eat some vegetables. Right?
Well, no, like a nice curry, or curry, or like Asian noodles or stuff like that, like things that normally don't contain like meat products.
Okay, I got one for you. What's your like prediction of food trends in the future? What do you think will be
South America.
The next one? South America,
because I feel like Brazil. People are just getting their eyes on Brazil. Brazil's biodiversity is insane. So people started kind of, I feel like the last few years, Peruvian was a big thing. Mm-hmm. And ceviche and kind of tigre de leche and like the Asian mix with Latin food that Peruvian food is. I feel like Brazilian food.
Quinoa is like.
Yeah, quinoa's everywhere. Yeah. Or like maca or stuff like that. But what's happening now is people have their eyes set on other countries and other kind of biodiverse, climates. So Brazilian food, wow, they have this, just like one example, like they have this tree and it looks like it has herpes. So it's these grapes that grow actually on the trunk. So it looks like it's sick. It's called jabuticaba. Jabuticaba, yeah. But
what does it taste like?
It kind of tastes like perfumed cherry grapes.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're like pretty big, but you can't export them because as soon as you cut them off the tree, they go almost rotten immediately. But there's all these things that just people don't know about, like feijoada. feijoada. It's like a bean dish that came from Portugal, but it's been like altered in Brazil, or like jambu, or picanha cuts of steak. Like all of these things that people are just kind of like dipping their toes in.
I love that.
But people are just dipping their toes into it, And honestly, it's this culture that's been so stratified, this huge country, but like nobody really knows about it, And people are just kind of starting to get to know it. I feel that that's going to be the next trend. I think Anthony Bourdain kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yeah. So, being a yacht chef is quite stressful, right? How do you kind of deal with your mental health and relax and kind of de-stress?
Just overload myself with just prep list. I don't have time to really deal with any of that stuff. And then if for some reason I do have, like, if I get mad at somebody, or because it will happen. People will do pretty dumb stuff. Yeah, I write it down, and then I'll wait 5 minutes, and I'll go back and read it. And I'll be like, you're dumb. Like, that's dumb. Like, they left a fork in your sink. Like, you'll be fine, man. But when you're under the pump, and like you have this perfectly immaculately clean galley, it's like a basketball court, and then somebody leaves something right in the middle of, you're like, what are you doing? But it's not important. It's just these little things that we build in our heads,
Mm-hmm.
But I like to do that. I'll write it down, and then I'll wait 5 minutes and read it, and I'll be like, you're an idiot. Like, you're dumb.
I like that. That's a good technique. Like, it's like counting to 10. Right?
Oh, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of dumb, like 10 dumb things that are out there that people do that you're like, wow.
What's like the one that gets you? Like, crew member does it and you're like, wow.
Let's see, one that gets me.
For me, it was a cup in the sink. So I had a chief officer used to I make his coffee in the morning and leave his cup in the sink. Drove me crazy. I threw it out the window one day, threw it out into the ocean.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know exactly what I mean. Yeah. I think cross contamination. So I'll have people like. No, you know what? Maybe when I'm plating up and they start talking to me, I get really mad at that. Because, like, I'm focusing. I've got, like, 20 components to put on one dish.
On the
and they're like, oh, when I'm done with this, I'm going to buy this purse. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, like, or I'm going to buy these shoes. Like, you only have 2 feet. And I don't, like, right now this salmon is, like, flipping out. But, I think just people that are dirty, too. Like, just being dirty in the galley, that makes you really mad.
Yeah, it makes you mad.
Yeah, because like I try to hold such a high standard for cleanliness, and like it has to be so clean because I'm dealing with everyone's like things that they consume, So if somebody leaves dishes in my sink, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Okay, let's flip around. What's the favoriteest thing? What's the best thing you think a crew member can do for you? Like, what's the thing that makes you happy when you see it?
People that ask to take the trash out. That's really cool. They're like, hey man, you need me to take your trash out?
I'm gonna make you a brownie for that.
Yeah, and then I'll always save like whatever. Like I'll always make one extra dish, just in case somebody drops it. They've dropped my dishes before.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from that is always have extra.
Yeah.
So check this out. There was this.
I always make something for just in case.
Yeah, for just in case. Yeah, I had a stew. I was making these desserts, and I call them my $1 million cakes. And I don't make them anymore because they're really hard to make. But I made these cakes that were like tiramisu in the shell, and it had like silver flake and all this. And the second stew, she didn't say behind. And for us that have been in the restaurant world, it's such a tight space that if somebody doesn't say behind, you can blast them with a pan, or you can accidentally slice them. You're not trying to, but like it's such tight quarters, it's dangerous to not announce yourself. She was behind me, and then she had a pot of coffee. She didn't say behind. I turned around, and she dropped all the pot of coffee on all of these desserts. It took me 3 days to make. Yeah, and then after that, she picked it up and she filled it again, and she didn't announce herself again, and did the same thing again. So she ruined all of my desserts.
Done 10 times.
Yeah, but then I just called them tiramisu blueberry cakes because they had coffee in them. Yeah, and then I sold them anyways. But then, it kind of worked out. I learned a lot about how to deal with people that have never worked in a restaurant.
Yeah,
that's a big thing. Yeah, because a lot of these people,
So when you go provisioning, you just buy the same thing?
Yeah, so I have like my inventories. I have them kind of just by area. So I have like all my dairy and all my creams. I have all my meats, all my veg. I have all of my inventories lists. So I'll go through all of my menus and I'll kind of make every item. every menu item, I'll make it in my head, and I'll think of what's in every single thing. So in that way, I kind of double down on what my inventories and provisions are.
So you start with like you've got like a bank of menus that you use, like a bunch of apps, a bunch of games, a bunch of desserts, and then you pick it from what the I can't think of the word. What's it called? Preference sheet. So you take the preference sheet and then work the menus from that. Is that how you do it?
So to be honest, 90% of the time, you're just making wedding food.
You just go on the fly.
You're just doing wedding food, and you're. That's what I really think. Because wedding food, what pleases everybody? Because sometimes there's kids, sometimes there's old people. A lot of people at yachting as well, they're not all crazy fine dining caviar people. They're not. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of.
I've had a lot of people just want the comfort food.
Yeah, there are a lot
mac
of.
and cheese.
Yeah, really. So there's like a lot of zero to hero people. People that like worked their whole lives as like selling plumbing supplies, and they got bought out by Home Depot or something like that. Yeah, and then they became crazy millionaires. And yeah, they dabble in like caviar and truffles and stuff like that. And I love to make that stuff. But the majority of the time, they just want like a really nice steak or seared salmon dish or just local stuff to the Bahamas. But,
so you travel with, so like you go from boat to boat because you're doing freelance.
Yeah.
So you go from boat to boat with an inventory list, a few menus, and you just get on there, buy the same provisions, and then work it out from there. That's the code.
Yeah. So I think the code is what I realize is I make everything as idiot proof as I can. So I have a kind of briefing for chief stews that I give to them what I like to work like, what I expect. So I feel like sometimes that's the most. You're smiling. That's the most abrasive relationship we have is with chief stews. So we can either become best friends or worst enemies. Yeah. So you know that. But yeah. So if I let them know what I expect in like a nice way, it could be really abrasive.
So you brief them when you come in.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, I expect don't hover over like my plates. Please give me time. I don't need to know everything. And it sounds rude, but like. The better chief stews will be like, I'm glad that I know these things because I don't have to guess who you are. And it's not that I'm mean. I'm not. I'm a nice guy. I really am, and I like a joke as much as the next guy. But the thing is if I'm just gonna freelance for a week and I have no idea who this person is, they gotta see where our parameters are and where our boundaries are. Yeah. So that's what I really expect.
So let me throw a question at you. So if you could cook for anybody in the world, who would it be, and what would you cook?
Anybody in the world.
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive? Let's see. Cook for anybody in the world.
Not Jesus and tacos?
Jesus and tacos? No, not Jesus, not tacos. It would probably be, the dish would probably be my take on al pastor. So I think my best dish that I've kind of made like just throughout all my life is I get pork chop, kurabuta. Pork chop, the Berkshire pork, and then I marinate it with al pastor seasonings, and I make this ancho and burnt pineapple sauce. I think that's the best. That's my representation of like who I am through like fine dining and through my history, my culture.
So who would you serve it to?
Who would I serve it to? Oh man, that's a hard one. Who would I serve it to? I don't probably somebody Mexican, but like from a long time ago. Maybe
like an old wrestler.
Old wrestler, the Santo. Yeah, the Santo. Yeah, that'd be pretty good. Yeah, because you'd be like, oh, this is really nice. Yeah. Maybe somebody really old and Mexican, just to show them like how much our food's progressed. Because like as much American as I am, I'm also exactly the same amount Mexican. And I'm proud of both cultures. I really am. But I feel like somebody in history, I can't say who, but I'd like to show them how much our food has progressed.
But more like your typical day, like you said, you come home from school and smell the smoke as you walk down the street.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was a little kid, and I'd come home, and my mom would be making salsa for my stepdad and for our family, and then you open the door and you get like pepper sprayed because all the smoke from all the chilies just like killed you when you walked in. Everyone was just coughing their brains out, And you'd go in that same blender to make salsa, and you'd always have pink smoothies because you put milk and bananas in there, but because it was stained, you'd always have spicy smoothies. Yeah, but that was part of my culture, And I remember when I was really young, like that was such an important thing, like all the sauces and all the comfort food that our parents would make, and it really just instilled in me this like passion to want to one day, I don't know if that's what made me want to become a chef, but it made me really want to learn more about cooking, like making tamales on Sunday to sell at our church, because we were poor, we were super poor, life is better now because of yachting and stuff, but But yeah, when I was a kid, we were super poor, so we make money anywhere we could, you know.
So talk me through like a typical day. What do you do? So you're going to get a charter, you join the boat, you brief the chief stew, which I think is hilarious. And then so you like 2 days out from the charter, what are you doing? You're going through your menus, your provisioning?
So first is preference. So I do the briefing with the chief stew, and then I get the preference sheets, and I see what they like, what they don't. I see what allergies we have, what dietary restrictions there are.
Yeah.
And I take that super serious. Even this last charter, we had a dietary restriction. And, it was heavy. But yeah, so I'll get all that sorted out. I'll get all my menus together, what I think they'll like.
Yeah.
So I try to kind of figure out who they are and like what kind of food they like. So if I get California people that are like in the fashion industry, I think, okay, these people, they like really high end, fine dining, really kind of molecular style food. They like, it's the top brass of like the kind of food that I can make.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. But if I get, the family from Alabama that like, made their money, cutting down trees, stuff like that from landscaping, it's going to be more the steaks, and, the grits, and like the low and slow, nice fried chicken.
So tell me through the day, what are you doing?
So in the morning, I wake up usually at 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
4 o'clock, yeah. And I get in the galley about 4:30 or 5, depending on, where we see the guests that their timing is. And then I start by doing all my pastry, croissants, bread, muffins, danishes, anything that...
So you're making all that for breakfast that day, or you're making it for the next day?
No, that day. Everything is that day. Just because I can't cool down lots of stuff because of space.
And the space.
So I can't do too much in advance. I really can't. But every time I make something, it has to have a lot of value. So if I'm gonna make a birthday cake, I have to get at least 5 dishes out of that. So if I make one birthday cake, I'll make 3. And then I'll do one birthday cake, and then with the other sheet cake, I'll punch out rings of it. So then I'll make a sponge or a shortcake. And then all the crumbs, I'll take those apart and toast them, and I'll make a dissected cake or dissected, chantilly, deconstructed cake. So out of everything that I cook, it has to have a lot of value. So I start off 4 o'clock in the morning, then I'll go 4:30 or 5, I'll be in the galley. I'll make all my pastry for the day, and every day is a different theme. And then I'll write down my menu as soon as all my pastry is done on these whiteboards that I like to use. And then I'll take a picture, send it to the chief stew so she can write out the menus for the day.
Menus, yeah.
But I have her keep it really basic. So in that way, if for some reason I have to, if they come back earlier or if we change times, I can really modify whatever I'm making and leave stuff out, still have it nice, but I can do things to kind of streamline whatever I'm doing for that meal that day. Mm-hmm. So if I was going to do, potato mousseline with, a short rib, I just usually put beef with mash. So that could be a steak.
Yeah, so
instead of, exactly. So I can kind of go around and the guest knows there's going to be beef and mash, but they don't know how. And it's kind of keeping them in the dark a little bit, but I feel like it really helps out at the end of it all.
Okay, so we've done breakfast, we've done your pastries, we've done breakfast.
Breakfast special every day.
Breakfast special.
Yeah,
and
so
you're feeding the crew as well, right? Because it's so
Yeah, so usually at 12 o'clock, I feed the crew. I usually leave 1 hour to prepare whatever for the crew. I always have at least 4 different proteins that are defrosted in the refrigerator, just in case the guest wants something else or doesn't like what I made that day, which doesn't really happen normally. But I take usually out of whatever has been defrosted the day before, and I'll use that for crew. So I always have a rotation of meat, and then just for space concerning.
Okay, and then so lunch for the crew, lunch for the guests.
Yeah, then happy hour. Happy hour 5:30.
So you do food for the cocktails.
Yeah, so you do canapes or charcuterie boards. That's what they always like. And cheese. Yeah, their guests are always crazy about that. And they have like a cocktail a day. And then I'll do crew food usually at 5:30 or 6 for dinner. And then I try not to have the same meal for same protein and same theme for lunch and dinner for crew. Like if I have burgers for lunch, then I'll have like poke bowl for dinner or something like that.
Yeah, I'm getting to yacht in that.
I was actually living in Australia, and me and this French guy, we applied for the same job at a restaurant downtown in Melbourne. And I lived in Montreal, Quebec for a while, so I learned how to speak French Canadian dialect of French. And this guy was from France, and he just thought it was ridiculous that I had this weird accent. I was Mexican American.
You speak German as well.
Yeah, I speak German as well. Yeah, and but yes, this guy, we became friends immediately because he just thought it was a little kitschy and thought it was really kitschy that I could speak this weird dialect of French. We became friends. But he got into yachting, and he told me, he was like, if you wanted to get into yachting, you do really, really well because you can cook food from everywhere in the world and you're good at it, So he kind of gave me all like the idea and the ambition.
And you did your SCTW
in Australia?
No, I did it here in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, here in Fort Lauderdale. And I did my ESG1 and all that stuff, firefighter class and all that. Yeah, it's actually pretty fun.
It is fun.
Yeah. I joined a cruise ship. I was living in Portland, Oregon. After Australia, I moved to Portland, Oregon.
Wow, you had such a life, eh?
It's been a
So a cruise ship in Portland. You got on that?
Well, I was actually in Seattle. So we went from Seattle on a cruise ship, a small cruise ship called Home Cruise. We went to Alaska. And in Alaska, I got to see like Sitka and like little cities like Cake and Juneau and stuff like that. And it was really, really cool. I was there for a year. It was weird.
So then when you got your first boat, like your proper yacht?
So that was the capital. So I had moved to Fort Lauderdale after I did all the cruise ship stuff. I came to Fort Lauderdale with the money I made on the cruise ship because the documents are pretty expensive, especially if you're on chef salary.
Yeah.
I came down to Fort Lauderdale. I did my STCW, all that. I met up with an old friend of mine that actually lived in Fort Lauderdale, back from San Francisco from a long time ago. I met up with him. He let me stay with him. And then I did my STCW and all that, but I wasn't getting hired for the life of me because you need to have experience to get a job.
And that's the thing.
And you need a job to get experience.
No tattoos.
Yeah, so I didn't know as well, like how far I would get into it because I'm Latino and I'm like really Latin and I'm also covered in tattoos. So I was thinking, it's this kind of preppy world where everybody looks like, Zach Morris from freaking Saved by the Bell, having tattoos and being kind of on the underbelly of the world, like that's really chefy, and like the more occult, the more artistic you are, kind of the more artsy you can really be with your food and stuff like that.
Yeah, like we say about the guy with tattoos can make a full belly.
Oh yeah, with a balsamic drizzle. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but I got into it, and then it took me a while for my first job. I was actually working downtown in a coffee shop with an ex-yacht chef as well. He put an ad on Craigslist he needed somebody to help him cook. And I told him straight up, I could be here for a year, I could be here for a month.
Thanks for tuning in. See you next time for more chefy content on Triton News.